Hey guys, welcome to day 8 of graphs. Today we're going to be talking about adding integers, and to get us started here I have a football analogy, and I know that you know how incredibly knowledgeable I am about football, and so I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the sport right now. Actually no, I'm just going to use it to illustrate adding negative numbers. Okay, so let's do this. Let's pretend our team here is starting here at the 50-yard line, right? And if they go this way, if they move forward, then that would be represented by a positive integer. But if they go backward, that's going to be represented by a negative integer. So our hypothetical team here on the first play loses 5 yards, and on the second play they lose 2 yards. So if we wanted to then illustrate that or represent that with integers, we could ask ourselves, what integer represents the total yardage on the two plays? And it would be -7, because we would add -5 and -2 together. Now if we wanted to write that in an addition sequence, we could write -5 plus -2 equals -7. So if you can imagine our little football field as a number line, maybe with 0 over here where my mouse is pointing to, we go this way. Negative numbers are to the left of 0, and we'd start at the 50-yard line. They move back 5, so they're -5 now, and then another -2, and we'd end up at the -7 mark on our number line. Okay, so that leads us to a little rule here to help us remember how to add integers with the same sign. It's called same sign equals sum and keep the sign. So when you have two integers of the same sign, you just add them together and you keep whatever sign it is. If you're adding negative numbers, your sum is going to be negative. If you're adding positive numbers, your sum is going to be positive. Okay, I would like you guys to go ahead and stop the video right now and read through examples 1 on your packet, 1 and 2, and then do the check your progress, 1A, 1B, 2A, and 2B, and then come back and check your work. Okay, let's see how you did on those check your progress questions. So on 1A, we have -3 plus -4. And we're just thinking through our rule that we just learned, same sign, sum, and keep the sign. So if we add those together, we're going to get -7. 1B is -6 plus -14. Again, those are the same sign, so we just add them together, and we get -20. Okay, oh, there you go. There's 2A and 2B for you. So -8 plus -2 is going to equal -10. -1 plus -12 equals -13. Okay, now that's great if we have two integers that have the same sign. But what if we have a different sign? If that happens, then we're going to take the difference between the two numbers and keep the sign. So let's look at examples 3 and 4 and then the check your progress on the middle of that second page. Okay, so if that happens, then we're going to take the difference between the two numbers and we are going to keep the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. So go ahead and stop the video and look at examples 3 and 4. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to read both of those and take a look at the number lines there. So let's just do the check your progress number 3A together and 3B. So here we've got 5 plus -2. Now, if you can visualize on the number line, if we're all the way over at 5 and we add -2, we're adding negative numbers, right, which go to the left of 0. So we need to go to the left. So 5 plus -2 is 3. Let's look at 3B, 4 plus -8. Now this time we've got a negative number with a greater absolute value than the positive number, right? Because the absolute value of -8 is going to be 8. So visualizing again on our number line, if we started at 4 and then moved to the left 8 spaces, we would end up with -4. So again, what I'm doing is I'm taking the difference between the two numbers and I keep the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. All right, let's take a look at a couple more. Go ahead and try these on your own and then check your work. All right, so this time we have negative 9 plus 4, and negative 9 is the integer with a greater absolute value, so we're going to keep the sign of the negative 9, and we're going to find the difference. The difference between negative 9 and 4, or between 9 and 4 is 5, and then we keep the sign of the negative 9 because it's got a greater absolute value. Our answer is negative 5. Okay, now if we add 12 and negative 5 together, again, thinking through our number line, if we start at 12, move to the left 5 spaces, we're going to end up with 7. All right, let's go through these real-world examples that you've got in your packet. The first one is about astronomy. It says, during the night, the average temperature on the moon is negative 140 Celsius. By noon, the average temperature has risen 252 degrees Celsius. What is the average temperature on the moon at noon? Okay, so basically what we're trying to find out is the difference between negative 140 degrees Celsius and 252 degrees Celsius, because if the temperature rises 252 degrees, it's got to go from all the way over here at negative 140, 252 steps to the right. So we're going to find the difference, and we're going to keep the sign of the number with greater absolute value, which is 252. So if we find that, we're going to find the difference, 252 minus 140, and we're going to get 112. And the average temperature at noon on the moon is 112 degrees Celsius. All right, really quick, I'm going to skip the next one with submarines, and you guys can read about that on your own, but when you add two numbers with the same absolute value but different signs, they cancel each other out. So, for example, then they're called opposites. Negative 4 and 4 are opposites. I know if you were in class yesterday, or we may be watching this today, you may have seen the integer battle. So every negative number cancels out its opposite positive number. So if you have negative 1 and 1, you're going to end up with a 0. So that's kind of a cool concept to know, and that's printed in your packet right there. All right, let's do a couple examples, a couple harder examples. So in these two, we have multiple integers instead of just 2. So let's just kind of walk through how to solve this. Let's look at letter A to start. We have 9 plus negative 3 plus negative 9. So let's do this. Let's put the 9's together. 9 plus negative 9 plus negative 3. Now we already know that the positive 9 and the negative 9 cancel each other out. So our answer is going to be 0 plus negative 3, which is just negative 3. All right, let's do the same thing for B. Negative 4 plus 6 plus negative 3 plus 9. Okay, now this time it's a little bit weird. I'm going to rearrange it like this. Now we don't have any integers that just cancel each other out, do we? But I'm going to put the negatives together and I'm going to put the positives together so I can just use my same sign sum rule. And I'm going to add what's in the first set of parentheses first and the second set of parentheses second. Then I'm going to add those together. The reason I have so many parentheses around here and, like, for example, the second set of parentheses around the negative 3 is because visually it's just hard to look at a positive plus a negative together. We don't necessarily know where that negative's going, so we put parentheses around it to make sure that we know that that's a negative integer and not just some random dash on your page or whatever. Okay, so let's solve in the brackets, and negative 4 plus negative 3 is going to equal negative 7, and then of course 6 plus 9 equals 15. Now I'm going to add negative 7 plus 15. So now I have a different sign difference, and keep the sign with of the integer with the greater absolute value. So I'm going to find the difference. 15 minus 7 is 8, and it's going to be positive because 15 is greater than 7. Okay, that's it for today, you guys. If you're struggling with adding integers, there are some really good videos on Khan Academy. Just go on Khan Academy and Google adding integers, and I know he has one on there for just addition, and then he's got a couple for addition and subtraction. Go ahead and watch the addition one. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and link to it up here if I can figure that out. And just come see me if you need help. Thanks.